Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, school districts embracing charter schools and why some lawmakers aren't happy about it. We'll look at Lake Pleasant 20 years after the completion of the new Waddell Dam, and we will hear about a local institute dedicated to civics education. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Lawmakers at work on a new state budget are debating the practice of school districts converting traditional public schools to charter schools to secure more state financing. Chuck Essex is the Director of Governmental Relations for the Arizona Association of School Business Officials. Chuck, it's good to have you here so we can try to make sense of all this. Let's start with defining terms. What is a charter school? What is a district charter school?
First thing, they're both public schools, and they're treated as public schools, and parents have the options of going to either one of those. Charter schools basically are approved by the majority by the state charter board, where public schools have been in existence for many years, generally representing communities or certain geographic areas.
And this board then, if a district wants to convert the elementary school down the street to a charter, the charter board has to approve that?
No, the local district board can approve that. Charter schools can be approved by the local school district. Universities can approve them, community colleges can approve them, the State Board of Education can approve them, and so can the charter board. But most of the non-district sponsored charter schools have been approved by the state charter board.
Okay, as far as the district sponsored charter schools, the issue before the legislature, as we talked about, is the idea of converting what were traditional schools over to charters, because apparently charters get more money per student than the traditionals. True?
Through the state funding formula, charters get about $1,200 more per pupil than traditional school districts. Now, traditional school districts, if you take all their revenue, including all federal and voter-elected bonds and overrides, districts do end up with more resources. But just from the state funding formula, it's about $1,200 higher. Our organization's been saying that for many, many years. And I would get phone calls, "You're wrong." And I would say, "Where am I wrong?" And they'd say, "Well, you're wrong, that can't be." A few years ago, the legislative resource people started saying that number, and it's the same numbers we're talking about. It's $1,200 higher for charters than it is for traditional districts on a per pupil basis.
Is that by design?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it wasn't. In the beginning, the first year or two of operation, they were funded exactly the same. And then they started giving charters money for transportation, even if they didn't transport students. They started giving them additional capital money, and it's in what's called additional assistance, which is mainly capital money, that makes the big difference. The day-to-day operations, districts and charters are funded almost exactly the same.
But I guess the idea that they might get more per pupil is what? They don't really have any access to taxes and no ability to borrow and these sorts of things?
Well, they can borrow money as any business can through a local bank, but they can't pass a bond election, or they can't pass an override election, which are in the law for school districts to go beyond what the state funding provides. Charters also get less federal money per pupil, mainly because they don't have some of the programs that federal funds are available for, and they don't run food service programs like a lot of the school districts do.
So does the Senate President have a point? And he's really the impetus behind this. He's really pushing this idea of districts converting to charters just so they can get that extra $1,100, $1,200, whatever it is per student. That's not fair. That's not right. Does he have a point?
Well, to some extent, but district-sponsored charter schools started in the 90s. Vail, Cave Creek, Benson, Fort Thomas, Payson have had charter schools for many, many years and got that additional money. It was only the last couple of years where additional districts, stressed for resources and wanting to offer parents choice, said, well, we're going to sponsor some of our schools to get the additional resources and to give parents some additional choice. That would cost the state quite a bit more money, but a group of school districts went to legislators and said, we understand that difficulty, and we're willing to redo the formula, we're willing to phase some things in, but no one seemed to be willing to listen.
Indeed, it sounds like $150 million, something along these lines, over 3 years would occur if this particular practice were to stop. It sounds like the Senate idea, or is it the Senate or the House idea, is for one more year, like $33 million for everyone to get ready, because after that 1 year, all those district charters are going away. Is that what's happening?
That's in the House's budget.
Yes.
It's 1 year, and then then everybody gets rolled back and can no longer it's a freeze on any new districts coming in, and existing districts get the money for 1 year and then it's gone.
And then I know in the past, if you were a district and you went over to charter and said, I think I'll go back to district after getting all that money, you'd have to repay that money. Well, they're going to have to all repay that money.
Probably the only good thing in the legislation is if you have to stop your district-sponsored charter school because of the legislation, you don't have to pay back the additional money that theoretically you never got, but you would have had to pay it back.
So if this holds up, and the idea is there's a kind of a 1-year escrow thing happening here, and then boom, everyone's got to go back to what they were, impact on districts, especially those that lost override votes?
They're going to have they'll have 1 year of kind of reprieve, and then the reality is they'll have to cut their budgets by that same $33 million that they added in for that 1 year. And it's very difficult to do that, but the reality of it is that's the only way they would be able to survive.
And just doing the budgets, right now the uncertainty of even knowing what the budgets for the 14-15 year I think would be something.
The only good thing is this year the legislature's pretty much ahead of schedule. A lot of times we're having these same discussions in May and June, so it's better to have them in March and April to give districts a little more time to start their new year July 1st.
As far as the bottom line here, why is this? The state has had financial trouble for quite a while. Why is this particular issue happening now?
I think, my personal opinion is both districts and charters are underfunded. You know, we're 47th in the country. We say that all the time. We're moving fast to the bottom in terms of per pupil funding. So both of them have financial strain on it, whatever. And I can see where the legislature this is the first time it really got a big hit on their budget. In prior years, the hit's been very small. But I do think that they should have at least considered options that districts were presenting to them that could have reduced the cost, but still allowed the option for districts to have district-sponsored charter schools.
So just your thoughts here. In another year or so, will the concept of district-sponsored charter schools, will that be a memory?
If this legislation goes through the way it's either the House or the Senate version, basically district-sponsored charter schools end, because the law also says nobody else can, you can't go someplace else and get it chartered either. You can't go to the state charter boards, you can't go to a university or community college or state board to get your district-sponsored charter school in place. So it really would end it.
Do you think one way or another, either the 1 year reprieve or just end it now, that in another couple of years?
I think both of those would end. In a year, there would be no more district-sponsored charter schools, and which is too bad. There's some of them, like Wickenburg has a fantastic district-sponsored charter school that has a very unique way of teaching math that draws kids from the district and other places across the state, and those will all probably have to end because they took additional resources for the district to put them in place.
And last question, do you think it will likely end? Is that the way the wind is blowing right now?
Right now, the best deal is one more year. It's kind of like you go to a doctor and one doctor says you're going to die tomorrow and the other doctor says you're going to be dead in 12 months.
Yeah.
Neither one of those are a very good diagnosis.
Yeah. Well, very interesting stuff. Chuck, good information. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Lake Pleasant is known by most as a regional center for recreation, but the lake is also an important part of the Central Arizona Project's diversion and storage of Colorado River water. Joining us now is Tom McCann, Assistant General Manager for the CAP. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
And Lake Pleasant, let's kind of figure out what Lake Pleasant is before we get too deeply into this. Where is Lake Pleasant, for those who are new to town?
Well, it's a little ways northwest of Phoenix. You know where Carefree Highway is? You go west of I-17 and Carefree Highway, and it's just a little bit north of the highway there.
And back in the old days, that was kind of out in the boonies. Not so anymore, huh?
It's now part of Peoria.
Yes, it is. And the new Waddell Dam. Before we get to the new Waddell Dam, what is the Waddell Dam?
Well, the Waddell Dam was built in the 1920s. It provided irrigation water for an irrigation district on the west side of town, Maricopa Water District. I think it was probably out in the boonies back then too. It dammed up the Agua Fria River that comes down from the Bradshaws, I guess, and sort of that area of the state. And then in the time of CAP, there was a decision that we needed a place to be able to park water from the Colorado River. So there's a long story actually as to how that dam site was selected, but we built a new dam that replaced the old dam effectively.
And not only replace it, what, like 3 times the water storage, something along those lines?
Probably more like 5 or 6 times
Oh my
the
goodness.
storage. Yeah.
And this is Colorado River water that is there for storage in case of what?
Well, actually, we use it every year. We raise and lower the level of the lake every year. We pump water from the Colorado River in the wintertime when the energy rates are a little lower, because it's uphill from the river and it takes a lot of energy to move it into central Arizona. So we park the water in the lake, we fill up the lake, and then in the summertime we can shut down a lot of our pumping out west from the river, saves electricity. It also allows us to do maintenance on those facilities, and then we release water from Lake Pleasant to serve the needs of Phoenix and people downstream from there.
And isn't power as well, is the power generated in the summer or all year round?
Power is only generated when we release water, so it's only in the summertime.
In the summertime.
And frankly, it takes more energy to put the water in the lake in the first place than we generate bringing it out, but it helps overall with our energy bill.
Now, the new Waddell Dam, again, it's an earthen structure, correct?
That's right.
And this is much bigger than the old, the old Waddell Dam's underwater now, isn't it?
It's almost 100 feet underwater. It's still there, has a
Yeah.
hole in the middle of it, but
Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah, we're flying over the new one now, and we're looking at this. And I remember this story like 20 some odd years ago when this happened. That was a big expansion of Lake Pleasant. And things, I'm guessing that the lake has survived and folks have figured out how to enjoy it out there, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. There are 2 marinas out there and a lot of recreational use. The water level does fluctuate during the year, but the marinas are built to accommodate that with floating docks that allow them to go up and down. Yeah.
As far as the cost for the new dam, what were you looking at here, just in generalities?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if I remember the total cost of it. I know that what we had to kick in the state to provide the upfront funding to build that was about $750 million, I think.
And that's probably all still being repaid in one way, shape, or form, or is that?
No, it's still being repaid. Well, there were bonds issued, and the bonds have since been paid off, but it's the costs of that dam are part of our repayment obligation to the United States.
So the CAP, again, how important is Lake Pleasant and the new Waddell Dam, but Lake Pleasant in and of itself, how important is that to the CAP?
Well, I'd say it's really important. We don't like to highlight this particular instance, but about 1.5 years ago we had an accident out west. We had a breach in our canal and we were unable to deliver water, move water through that segment of the canal for about 3 weeks. But our customers didn't see any reduction in flow because we could just turn around and take water back out of Lake Pleasant, the water we had parked there. So we were able to have uninterrupted deliveries to our customers, even though we had a canal outage that lasted about 3 weeks.
My goodness. And as far as the water levels, you say they fluctuate every now and then. How much do they fluctuate?
Can be as much as 100 feet in the course of the year.
Whoa.
We usually try not to be that much. Usually try to keep it at about 50, 60 feet of fluctuation.
And as far as the drought is concerned, is that impacting what's happening at Lake Pleasant like it is other areas, or because it's a storage reservoir, is it kind of a whole different dynamic?
It's different. Most of the water that's in there is water we put in there from pumping it from the Colorado River. We've had a few times we've had some really good runoff into the lake from the Agua Fria River, but it's not been as much in recent years.
Well, let's talk about what happens if we get a La Nina this winter, which they're actually talking about. We've talked about on the show here. They're looking at it. We get a lot of rain. We get maybe some overflow here and there. How does that work into it? I mean, the Agua Fria River, if it overflows, what happens out there?
Well, we actually had that situation back when the dam was first being completed. It was finished in the fall of '92, but the Bureau of Reclamation that built it had some pretty strict criteria about how quickly to fill it up. So in '93, if you might remember, there were floods on the Salt and the Gila River system, and there was a lot of water that came in the Agua Fria, and we actually had to release water out of it and put the spillways to use right away. But we haven't had to do that since. We haven't had to release any water into the Agua Fria River since 1993.
And as far as water levels right now, are they up, down? How
We're in toward the tail end of the period where we fill the lake,
Yes.
so we're almost to the top of where we're going to get to be.
When you mentioned the lake filling and the fluctuations, do rules on the lake change when those water levels change?
Rule.
Probably not.
If it is, it would be the recreational folks, and
Okay, yeah.
that'd be the county.
Yeah,
We don't
okay,
deal
so
with them.
the shoreline of
Yeah.
that cactus over there, watch out for the cactus if you go. I always thought that was fascinating because sometimes you look underwater and you're seeing the desert under the water, at least
Yeah.
back in the 90s. Can you still do that in spots out there?
Well, probably, yeah. My guess is since it gets covered with water once a year,
Yeah.
there's probably not a lot of things that like that and that stay growing down
Yeah.
there, but yeah.
Last point, 20 years now, is there a celebration going on out there for this?
There is, I think Thursday morning, yeah.
And that they're basically going to say in 20 years we've basically 5 to 6 times the water capacity. Huh?
Well, we filled it and emptied it and filled it and emptied it probably about 20 times. in that
Wow.
time.
All right. Well, good stuff. It's good to have you here. It's nice to learn about Lake Pleasant and the new and old Waddell Dam.
Thank you.
The Joe Foss Institute is the focus of tonight's edition of Arizona Giving and Leading. The Scottsdale-based institute was founded by Medal of Honor recipient Joe Foss and his wife Dee Dee and is dedicated to advancing civics education. Karen Taylor is the event chairman for the institute's 2014 Stars in Service benefit, which is set for this weekend. And also with us is the executive director of the Joe Foss Institute, Lucian Spataro. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. The Joe Foss, before we get to the event now, give me a better definition of the Joe Foss Institute.
The mission and goal of the Joe Foss Institute is to bring civics education back into the classroom. For the last several decades, we've had, and more recently, a lot of emphasis on science and math education, which is critically important for America and our role in the global marketplace. But at the same time, we can't lose sight of the fact that civics and civics education and a basic understanding of how our government works is critically important. So the focus of the Institute is to get curriculum into the classroom, to get veterans into our classroom, and really make sure that our school kids have a basic understanding of our government.
I was going to say, how exactly does the Institute get to school districts, get to education folks, and say, we need more of these kids learning about civics?
Well, that's a visibility issue. As Karen pointed out, civics has been boxed out to some extent by the focus on science and technology and standardized testing and proficiency tied to that and funding tied to the proficiency. So what we do at the Joe Foss Institute is we work with the teachers, and we have teacher workshops around the country, and we work with teachers in all 50 states and schools in all 50 states to bring civics back into the classroom. And we're doing it in a supplemental way because it is part of the curriculum across the country now, but it's not on the test that matters. So we focus on the teacher workshops and the volunteer veterans in the classroom, and we bring it into the classroom, work with the teachers on that curriculum.
Talk more about the volunteer veterans in the classroom. What exactly do they do? Give us an example of their presence in the room.
Well, we like to have them in the classroom because they can relate their personal experiences, on the front lines, if you will, to kids that otherwise don't have the opportunity to hear those stories. And over time, as the numbers of people in our military shrinks in comparison to the growth of the overall population, it's harder and harder to do. So we have that as a particular area of focus because we think that connection to real-world examples of people who have served the country make a profound impact on educating the kids.
Has that always been the primary focus of the Joe Foss Institute? And if so, has that focus itself changed over the years?
Well, initially the focus was to bring veteran volunteers into the classroom and talk to kids about the importance of patriotism and community service and why we need to protect the unique freedoms we have as a country. But then the focus has changed to some extent over the last couple of years because we have found that there is an issue in the country, and that is that, civics is being boxed out, citizenship is being boxed out of the classroom to some extent in a real sort of way, and we want to bring that back into the classroom. So we bring the curriculum into the classroom now. We didn't do that before, but we do now, and we bring a flag and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, a copy of each of those documents, and the actual flag into the classroom. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of states, they have a provision for having a flag in every classroom, but they don't fund it all the time.
Right.
So we bring a flag into every classroom and we explain to kids how to use that or how to fold it. And
Has this situation occurred because, is it just difficult to test civics? It's hard to do an A, B, C, or D. Is it because of the politics involved? Is it just because it's easier to do science, technology, engineering, and math as opposed to something that can be a little amorphous in the sense of aspects of physics, of civics?
Well, that's an interesting question. Science and technology, science and math are, because they're data-driven, they're hard sciences, they might be to some extent easier to test or assess, and civics, being a softer science, might not be, because civics is a narrow discipline within the social sciences, essentially. And I think that might be one issue, but I think the emphasis and the pendulum has just swung a little bit too far. And now we've got to bring it back in the middle and broaden the curriculum out a little bit.
The 2014 Stars in Service event, what's that all about?
That is this Sunday night, as you mentioned, at the Camelback Inn. It's our annual event to raise much needed funding to operate the Institute and get the veterans into the classrooms and provide scholarships for students. This year we're very excited. We have Charles Krauthammer as our keynote speaker. We also have Carl Bernstein coming in, so we've got a great lineup of honorees. General Mosley, General Boykin, Ross Perot Jr., Craig Barrett, locally here, for his work in education. So we've got a tremendous lineup. We're going to have about 700 people there, so a great opportunity to share the message and raise much needed funds for the cause.
Did I see Richard Dreyfuss will be there as well?
Yes.
Richard Dreyfuss.
So you got Richard Dreyfuss, you got Charles Krauthammer, you got Carl Bernstein. I can see both sides of the aisle happy and frustrated, a little irritated.
Well, this is a perfect example of this not being a left-right issue. This is an American issue. Civics and citizenship are important, and it's not, a left or right issue. It's all about America.
Who was Joe Foss?
Joe Foss was an amazing person. Joe started the Institute back in 2001. He was, the governor of South Dakota. He was, I don't know if you know this or not, but he was the first commissioner of the AFL.
I do know that.
So
yeah.
he founded essentially the Super Bowl. We understand, and that's debatable, but he claims he did. We'll go along with that. And he really did get involved and bring that together. He brought that together, and he was a Medal of Honor recipient. And he just had a real interest in giving back to the community. And so he thought this would be the best way he could possibly do that. So he founded the Institute and brought the first veterans into the classroom, and it all started with Joe.
And interesting, someone like a Joe Foss who goes from governor, military hero to governor, AFL committee, he just has his hands in a lot of things, NRA president, lots of things. Do you find that kind of person is harder to find these days, or no?
No, I think there's a lot of people who bring, a lot of life experiences to the table, and I think the more of those experiences you have, the more you understand the importance of this subject.
And the more you teach civics in the classroom, the more those little minds become bigger folks that wind up being these kinds of folks.
Absolutely.
So if you had one thing, that we just talked about education and charter schools in the previous segment here in the program, if you had one thing to tell educators about civics in the classroom, education in general, what would it be?
It would be that you have to have all of the disciplines to become a critical thinker. You can't just focus on math and science. You've got to focus on all the other disciplines too. The soft sciences are very important. I'm a STEM professor. My background is biology. I used to be a professor at the University of Arizona. in biology. So I understand it from a STEM standpoint how important those content areas are. But to be a critical thinker, you need to be able to look at things from multiple disciplines and perspectives. And I think that's what bringing the social sciences in is important.
And we should mention again, Stars and Stripes, is it Sunday evening?
Sunday evening at the Camelback Inn.
All right. Well, I hope it's a good event. It's good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And tomorrow on Arizona Horizon, we will hear why some analysts are saying that the economy might be ready to show some big-time growth. And we'll talk baseball with Diamondbacks General Manager Derek Hall. That's Tuesday evening, 5:30 and 10, right here on Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.